Aircraft manufacturers will often study conceptual ideas or further development of an existing upcoming type to join their portfolio, which could include extending a program such as the 777X further. At Boeing, the American plane maker is preparing to welcome the first variant to their 777X series into the industry, the 777-9, and this follows a lengthy delay to the certification program, as I'm sure you're aware. For customers, the 777X, the new long-haul widebody, has often been provided as a solution to the quad-engine jet problem. This problem consists of two primary aircraft families, the A380 from European plane maker Airbus, and the 747 from American plane maker Boeing. These two planes have both, in their ways, been critical to so many customers' long-haul offerings through the years, with an enhanced capacity level, meaning operations into slot-restricted airports have been made easier. However, these types are becoming increasingly more inefficient for most companies. Additionally, the two respective manufacturers have suspended production on the two aforementioned types. Therefore, your customers of these planes are seeing their units age with no true dedicated replacement on offer. The 777-10 proposition has been broadly discussed by Boeing in the past decade. However, it remains a variant that is yet to receive an official release or even announcement. If proceeded with, the 777-10, per analysts, would further extend current 777X variants, and essentially be that ideal answer to the 747 and A380 that some customers may tell you doesn't currently exist, at least in the form that they would require. In the mid-2010s, a variant exceeding the existing Dash 9's capabilities was mentioned by analysts. It's a move that, had Boeing gone ahead with, would have seen 3 total variants offered to customers in a passenger sense, not to mention the 777-8F here. A 777-10 was never formally announced, and therefore details on its actual capabilities that it could offer to customers were far and few between, with typically analysts predicting what they would expect it to offer. From what can be gathered, the Dash 10 would continue with the theme set out by the 737 MAX, 787, A320neo, A330neo, and even the A350 series, with each larger addition to the program seeing the latter part of the aircraft name increasing in their respective series. The example I'll give you right now is the 737 MAX. What is the smallest variant in this program? The Dash 7. The largest, the Dash 10. And then you have numerical order, the largest aircraft going upwards. The 777-10 would have had an increased capacity over previous iterations. Between the Dash 8 and the Dash 10, there would be a close 100 capacity difference. Exact specifics will always change when it comes to configuring planes, as airlines will have different means for how they want to execute this. Capacities are really just a guide for what Boeing are predicting for each said variant. For a proposed 777-10, the range was an area that did lack clarity. However, the plane you would expect would harbour less range than the 777-9 to make way for the capacity increase that is offered and the potential extension. According to Boeing's specifications, the 777-9 can fly 7,600 nautical miles. Meanwhile, the 777-8 can fly up to 8,745. Therefore, the 777X as an ultimate series can certainly be labelled as something that is more than adequate for covering most companies' long-haul needs. While some argue that a 777-10 would help replace the A380 for customers, others would point out that the A380 ended for several important reasons. These reasons might deter customers from committing to a plane, such as the size of the 777-10. With such a high capacity, the available customers that can fill the jet routinely on select routes, remember, are pretty limited. This is why wide bodies are obviously never going to perform as well as a narrow body. However, with Emirates' calls for an A380neo due to slot restrictions becoming an increasingly larger focus, some believed it would be potentially a worthwhile study from Boeing. As per Flight Global in 2016, Boeing actually confirmed technical feasibility of a 777-10, while now closing in on a decade ago and only a handful of years after the program was launched. It's an essential factor to understand when discussing this 777-10. Many would now argue that focus is lying on existing variants part of the family and that tough certification process. In late 2022, Boeing launched its 777-8F, a next-generation freighter that is slated to compete with the A350F in a very lucrative market. This therefore was the third offering as part of the 777X program to customers, including passenger and freight. Progression is also taking place on certification for this series, but it is yet to be completed. Current forecasts estimate an EIS, or entry into service, will occur in 2025. This is 5 years later than what was initially predicted. This substantial delay for the entry into service for Boeing's newest endeavour has been paired with several other persistent issues at the plane maker over the past decade. This could include, but also not be limited to, your 737 MAX crisis, quality assurance difficulties with the 787, a global pandemic, and much more. Not all of these were in the control of Boeing, but some would argue that most of them were. Thanks to these reasons, Boeing's internal focus has been skewed significantly. Its focus really remains on certifying the current variants of the 777X and getting these to customers safely, but also as soon as possible. These airlines have been awaiting this plane for many years now and are eager to get it into their operations so they can either advance their operations, retire aircraft that are already beginning to age, or just bring further efficiency. In terms of the overall delays that the 777X program is seeing, these aren't totally abnormal. When it comes to getting either a clean sheet design or an advancement on an existing plane into service, it is always going to be a lengthy process, and you could make the case that following the incidents involving Boeing in 2018 and 2019, the certification process for new aircraft have been put under an even finer microscope. But tracking back to the 2000s, 2010s, and so forth, we saw multiple other significant aircraft types that are now very successful within the industry experience delays of their own. That being said, 5 years is a lengthy time, and for Boeing, their number one priority is to have this plane delivered and in the hands of key customers such as Emirates, Lufthansa, and all the other ones that have committed to it. Straight away after that, it's about getting the secondary and third variants into service, that is your 777-8 and 777-8F. Will we see a 777-10, and could it ideally replace an A380 or 747 for a customer like Emirates? Let me know your thoughts down below, or do you believe this is just another one of those aircraft that has been studied, is technically feasible, but Boeing won't progress with? You can let me know down below in the comments. Thanks very much for your continued support here on GlobeTrotting. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you are new. Take care and be safe, and I'll see you next time.
And we'll fly.